I went to his front door and he opened it up. I wasn't expecting, I was expecting his housekeeper. So I left school when I was 15, and so my first job was to go to his salon in Bond Street. Jane Asher used to come in, who was Paul's fiancée, and she asked me one day if I would cut her boyfriend's hair, which I knew her boyfriend was Paul McCartney. Inside me I went, I don't believe she's asked me that. And said, can you come round in the afternoon and cut it? So I said yes. So that moment of somebody asking me to cut, I didn't know whether it was real or not, but you know, I was a Beatles fan at the time. It was my era, and for her to say come round and cut one of the main guys, so I said yeah, okay. So I went round to his place in London, knocked at the door, trying to be very cool there, thinking, you know, this is Paul McCartney. I went to his front door and he opened it up. I wasn't expecting, I was expecting his housekeeper. Well, I started cutting Paul's hair, and obviously he lives around the corner from Abbey Road, whereas the other three Beatles lived down in the countryside in a place called Virginia Water. So it used to take them about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to come up into town, and more often than not they would either come round to Paul's house before the studio, or one of them, John, would turn up. Met John, so I used to cut his hair at the office. George always used to come down to the salon, which I'll tell you about later. He used to like coming down and relaxing down there. And Ringo, wife Maureen, was a hairdresser, so she used to cut his hair a lot. So gradually the Beatles became, you know, am I cutting Paul's this week or 2 weeks' time, or John? If it wasn't them, it would be somebody on the backroom staff there. So it was like an inner circle, because from meeting one of them and feeling comfortable, you just become part of that sort of, you know, you're there. They want their haircut, like they want a drink, or somebody's got to serve them, so I serve them. Brian Epstein died, who was their leader, who organised them. When Brian died, Apple was an idea of, we'll put our own music on Apple Records, but what we'll do is we'll help other people, other musicians, other artistic people. It was very much of love and peace, and let's see what we can do. Because I used to cut their hair, and because they used to frequent a shop in the King's Road, where John especially and George, best friend, one of their best friends used to make their clothes for them, said, would you like to, we would like to open you a salon where we can do other people's hair, obviously you'll do our hair, and it would be a nice thing to do. You know, we have clothes and hair together. That's how it was approached. Paul actually approached and mentioned it first of all. I was taken back. You know, suddenly, you know, the Beatles are going to open me a hairdresser salon. You know, these things, I look back on it now and I think, you know, what an amazing thing to happen. At the time, I would probably cut Paul's hair probably more times than the other guys, because he lived in London. Also, I didn't have to cut the hair. I used to go around and wash his hair, blow dry it. Often if he came back from the studio, I wasn't that far away, and it was a situation where he didn't just ring up and say, well, he wasn't a prima donna, must have my hair washed and I can't do it myself. I would sometimes go to the studio, Abbey Road. I washed his hair once there. They were sweating. I would go down there. I was on call. So the whole secret of having your hair cut is to cut it so you didn't look like you're having a haircut. So if your hair was a certain length and you wanted to grow it a bit longer, you wouldn't just wait for it to grow really long. You would just cut a little bit off each time, and then you would just cut the ends off, it would grow longer. So I used to do everything with my fingers. So I used to use my fingers as the brush and use the hairdryer and do the two together. which actually formed a very natural look. People ask me, did they use any products or anything? Now, as I said to you before, the secret of a haircut is not to have a haircut. The secret of hair in those days, we never used grease. The healthiest hair was healthy hair. The thing that you'd only put on would be some conditioner, where I can remember I used to squeeze the conditioner, rub it in my hands, take the ends of the hair, rub it in, and that was what I would do. I used to go down to watch them record at Trident Studios, where they did Hey Jude, Dear Prudence. I used to go down to Abbey Road, obviously, where they recorded most of their songs. One particular day, I left Abbey Road studio. I got there about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, stayed all night. That was fascinating, because people like Billy Preston was down there and people used to visit them. And Paul sat down about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning at a piano and just said to me, you can't help but say, any nice songs, or what songs are you writing? And he said, well, I've got this song, what do you think of this? He's asking me what do I think of it, and he came back and he just went, oobla-dee, oobla-da, life goes on, boy, la 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 la, life goes on. Now, that is so easy to remember, but I heard that very first time, and I walked out the studio at 5 o'clock in the morning humming and singing that song.